This lesson is working on solving equations where the coefficient, the number in front of the variable, is a fraction. So let's review our steps that we've learned. Step 1 is you're going to simplify. Combine like terms or distribute. You might not have to do this step. Step 2, we're going to cover up the variable or highlight if you have a highlighter. And step 3 is we're going to divide by itself. So if we look at example 1, I look to the left. I can't combine this. This has an x and this term doesn't have an x. I look to the right. It's just 5. So step 1, we're going to skip. So step 2, I'm going to cover up where the variable is. And this is 7/8 x, so that's together. So I'm going to cover it up. Okay? And then if there's something there, we need to make it 0. So if I combine a positive 9 with a negative 9, then that makes 0, and that's gone. Then whatever I do to one side, I need to do on the right side. So I have 7/8 x equals 5 plus 9 is 14. Then, when this is by itself, the last step is to divide by itself. However, it's a fraction, and we should know from past math classes that when you divide with fractions, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So let's take a second to look at an example. If I had 4 and I have divided by a half, okay? So if I have 4 and I divide them in half, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 divided by 1/2 is 8. Because dividing is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's just 8. So if we have, let's say, 3/4 divided by, let's say, 9/8. When you divide with fractions, this one stays the same, and we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. And then you are allowed to cross simplify here. So 3 divided by 3, that's 1. 9 divided by 3, that's 3. 4 divided by 4, that's 1. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we have 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so now let's take that knowledge, and we understand we're not going to divide. Instead of dividing, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, if you flip those over. So instead of dividing by 7/8 to both sides, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal to both sides. So this is going to cancel because this right here makes 1. 8/7 times 7/8, the 7's will cancel, the 8's are going to cancel, everything's going to make 1. So we have 1, we don't need to write a 1 in front of an x, but this equals 1, brought down the x, and whatever we do to this side, we have to do over here. So we need to multiply 14 times 8/7. So we can reduce the 14 and the 7. So 7 divided by 7, that's 1. 14 divided by 7, that's 2. So we have 2 times 8 is 16, and 1 times 1 is 1, and 16 divided by 1 is just 16. So x equals 16. Now, if I want to check this, let's see if this works. Is 16 really the right answer? We're going to take the original problem, and instead of x, we're going to put 16 there. So 7/8 of 16 we can reduce. We can simplify 8 divided by 8, that's now a 1. 16 divided by 8, that's 2. So 7 times 2 is 14, and 1 times 1 is just 1. So 14 divided by 1 is just 14. And then we bring down the minus 9. 14 minus 9 is 5, and it worked. It made both sides equal. So x is 16. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another problem with fractions. Look at example 2. So first step is to simplify. We can't simplify these. This has an x, this doesn't. Can't simplify. So step 1, we skip. Step 2, I'm going to highlight where the variable is. So this is together. This is x over 4. X divided by 4, that's together. So I'm going to start here. And if I have a negative 2, I need to combine it with a positive 2, so that makes 0. And then I'm going to put a positive 2 here. These are different, so we're going to subtract. And then I'm going to look in front of the bigger number, and we get negative 4. Then, when the variable is by itself, the last step is to divide. But this is a fraction, because in front of every variable there is a 1x. So this is like saying 1/4 x. So instead of divide, because this is a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to flip-flop the 1 and the 4. And that's just timesing by 4, because 4 divided by, this is just 4 right here. So whatever we do to this side, I have to do on this side. So I'm going to multiply this side by 4. Now this is going to cancel, because 4 times 1/4 is just 1x. So this cancels. So x equals negative 16. So let's go ahead and check this one. So I want to see, is x really negative 16? So instead of an x, I'm going to put in negative 16. Negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4. And then I'm going to bring down the negative 2. And negative 6 equals negative 6. So it worked. So let's go ahead and try one more like that. Let's try a third example. Okay, step 1 is to simplify. We look to the left. We can't simplify. We look to the right. We can't simplify. So step 1, we skip. Okay. Step 2, I'm going to cover up. I'm going to highlight where the variable is. And if there's something next to it, that's what we want to get rid of. So if we have a negative 9, we need to put a positive 9 so that they make 0. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do on this side. These are different, so we're going to subtract. 9 is bigger, so positive 4. Then, once this is all by itself, we need to divide. But because this is a fraction, because this is 1/4 here, okay, and then a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So this is like a negative 1/4 in front of the variable. So instead of dividing, since it's a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to flip-flop these. So the -4 will go on top, and the 1 will go in the denominator. Okay? So a negative times a negative is a positive, and then these are reciprocals right here. They're going to cancel and make 1x. And since we multiply by -4 here, we're going to multiply by -4 on this side. So 4 times -4 is -16. So if we check this, and I take out the x, and I put in -16. -16 divided by -4, that's 4. And then 4 minus 9, 9 is bigger, negative, they're different, subtract. We get the same thing on both sides. So I know -16 is the correct answer for x.